Hey guys, Dean Collura, TitleTap. Welcome to episode 5 of On Tap with TitleTap. This episode, I sit down with a good buddy of mine in the industry, Andrew Veliuona. He's the senior vice president of a company called eNotaryLog. They specialize in online notarizations that are done securely and conveniently, pretty much being able to notarize a document anywhere in the world. And what's interesting is we get a little bit into Andrew's background. I find out he actually started part of his career typing title commitments, which don't hear that too often, but it's added to his perspective of the customer and kind of what they go through. We jump into more about online notarization and Ron, and how, some best practices maybe to set expectations. There's been a bit of a mixed review with online notarizations as of late because lenders are still adopting that while laws are being passed in different states. So Andrew adds some amazing perspective on how we can start training our internal staff, using it in certain customer segments like commercial and investors, and how to position. So we're really using these capabilities in our marketing. So we do a deep dive in all of that. It was a lot of fun to catch up with him. He's definitely in the circuit in conferences and such. Many of you probably know of him already. So with that, we'll dive in. Thanks, guys. Enjoy. Sweet. All right. Andrew, what's up, man?
Hey, Dean, how you doing?
Dude, I'm awesome. It's summertime at the I think the point of this recording. So, kids are home and we're in the mode of figuring stuff out to do during the summer. So it's good times, man. We're just running crazy. Well, dude, thanks so much for jumping on with us. As you are, I gave you a little bit of context before, but this audience is all title agents and attorneys, and our premise for the cast is basically to highlight you a little bit, get to know kind of the human behind the tech that is eNotaryLog, any kind of wow factors or features that you want to talk about. We ultimately want to focus on how we can leverage some of those capabilities that you guys provide into our audience's marketing. There's no doubts we're in a shifting market right now. And so, an easy win would be to take what they may already be doing or may have invested in technology and pivot it as a competitive advantage, in their marketing. So we're going to kind of dive into that mode here in just a second. But before we go too deep, man, let's get acquainted. Let's get you acquainted with the audience as well. So where are you dialing in from today?
So I'm just outside of Baltimore, Maryland, but we're headquartered in Tampa, Florida, your neck of the woods.
Yeah, man, you're here. Yeah, it's a rainy day. Well, it's summer, so every day's a rainy day. But yeah, we're in the throes of that and humidity. So awesome. And talk to me a little bit, I guess, about how did you get into the title space? And I know we go back a little bit. We're buds. We've been in conferences together and such, but how did you get into the title to begin with and ultimately at eNotaryLog?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's actually a question I ask often because it's always a great story, right? Because no one ever dreams of getting into the title industry. You just kind of fall into it somehow and then you can never get out.
Right.
So mine's a pretty cool story as well. Early 2000s, I had my own business. We had a outsourcing company. We were heavy in the medical, healthcare and financial world, also legal. And it was a refi boom. And, there was a lot of work being done in the mortgage space. And I had 1,000 people at the time in India that were
Wow.
capable of doing lots of different things. So I said, let's get into the mortgage space. So I reached out to a bunch of people I knew in the mortgage industry, and they were like, there's a lot of moving parts in mortgage. So might want to talk to title. And like most people, I at the time I had actually bought 4 investment properties, didn't know what title was. I'm like, what's title? They're like, you ever buy a house? I said, yeah, 4 of them. They said, that's title. So, me being the entrepreneur I am, I just started cold calling title companies, had no clue what title did, but just started making some calls. And I think it was like my 4th or 5th call. And I happened to reach a title company, and they said, can you type title commitments? And I said, you betcha. They said, come on in. And I met with them, and it's a great story because I had no clue what a title commitment was, and I wasn't lying to them. I just said, hey, we don't want to tell you we can type title commitments. We want to type title commitments the way you want us to type title commitments. Would you train us? And they said, absolutely. Next day we were typing title commitments, and that's how we got into the title industry. And then we kind of grew from there, from title commitments to policy production to title searching eventually. And then in like 2015, I sold my interest in the business. And very early on, I was very much aware that integrations were a big piece to the puzzle, right? So I had built integrations with RamQuest, with green folders. I bought SoftPro, I bought Title Express, so I knew that was going to be a key piece. So I was very familiar with software. Was doing a integration with Resware at the time, and so I was very familiar with that software. So when I sold my interest, I was looking to get out of the title industry, and I just happened to call Adeptus Software about a couple of things, and they said, "Hey, we're looking for someone. You know anyone?" Drove home that night and called the CEO up the next day, and I said, "I found you somebody." And he said, "Great, who?" I said, "Me," and the rest was history. So I sold software with Resware for about 5 years, and then got a call from my good friend Ryan Anderson over at Anderson Biro, and he said, "I got a great opportunity for you." I said, "Thanks, man, but I'm super happy where I am, doing well, great company, great culture, great product." And he said, "Hear me out. Let me tell you about eNotaryLog." And it was just a great opportunity to work with a startup, a well-funded startup, and it gave me the opportunity to get back into the entrepreneurial world and spirit, but not have to bootstrap everything the way I was when I started my own business back in 1999. So it was just a great opportunity, and I decided to agonized over the decision to move. And the funny, interesting piece of that is I resigned December 15th of 2019, and was it 19 or 20? I can't remember. Geez, with the pandemic, it blows
everything blurs. Yeah,
yeah, everything blurs. But well, so I resigned on the 15th of December to start January 1st, and 4 days later, the announcement came out that Qualia had acquired Adeptus Software. So
that's crazy.
I guess timing is everything.
Yeah,
so that's my story.
Dude, I had no idea that you actually learned how to type title commitments. Like you were in the nitty gritty, dude, in the front lines doing the work, which is
Totally.
which is pretty cool. A lot of times you talk to software vendors, and they learn about the space but haven't actually worked in the space functionally. So I think that's pretty neat, and certainly probably helped you with a perspective, having sat in the chair and having to do the work.
Yep.
So awesome, great. So now you're at eNotaryLog. Talk to us about that. What I guess what's the mission for eNotaryLog? What challenges do they solve for? Who would be sort of a good fit for them? So if you can kind of like walk us through that from the beginning, in terms of just painting the picture, that'd be great.
Absolutely. And it's really, it's a great story. It's a sad story in some respects, but it's our why. My two co-founders, James and Joe, one of their best friends was unfortunately diagnosed with terminal cancer, and a couple years ago, and they were helping him get his affairs in order and taking him on trips, bucket list trips. And along the way, they had to help him get a lot of documents signed and notarized, advanced medical directives, power of attorneys. And it was a huge pain for them. I mean, just huge pain. But they'd be in a different city, go find a notary. How do you do that? So and it was right around the time where Florida was about to pass RON legislation. So they said, look, unfortunately, their friend did pass away, and they said, we're going to build a platform so that the everyday person can get documents signed and notarized safely and securely. So they built the system, and it was really a retail kind of play. Like, hey, here's a website, you can upload a document, get it notarized. They had notaries. But what they did really well was they got it from the consumer, from the signer standpoint in mind. So they built the system consumer first versus business first, right? So one of the things we hear often from companies that have actually looked at platforms, been on another platform, they look at ours, is they say, wow, it's very user friendly, very signer friendly. So that's a lot of the feedback we get. So that's kind of how we started, but then they quickly pivoted to like, okay, now that we have this system in sight, we really need to look at the B2B world. And that's when they recruited me in to help them start and build out the sales
Got it.
sales efforts.
Got it. Interesting. Yeah, there has been so much talk around Ron, not only all the announcements we hear when a new state approves of it, but just mixed reviews on successes. But frankly, man, I've also heard a couple of challenges with it. If I'm being honest here, and I'd love for you to get your take on this. I've had conversations where, the excitement of it was, I thought it going to be a positive thing. And then, I have the call where it's like, hey, yeah, we tried that, but the experience of, validation or whatever, something got tripped up, and then like the closing had to be canceled, and we had to reschedule, and it was just a complete, cluster for everybody. And so we're not going to do that again. And I was like, kind of taken back. And I thought it was just one experience. There's been a couple of them like that.
Yeah.
So can you talk to, an audience that may or may not have subscribed yet, to doing, notarizations like this online, kind of what they can expect, maybe how they can even prevent a bad experience? I mean, some of that might be helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the common conversations we have, especially in the title industry, are nothing's happening, Ron. I mean, I think title agents are tired of hearing about Ron. They've been hearing about it for years, and still nothing's really happening from the lender side yet. However, I think the industry as a whole understands it is coming. It's not a matter of if, it's when, and no one has the crystal ball. Is it a year? Is it 2? Is it 3? We're having conversations with lenders every day, and they're saying this is absolutely on their roadmap, 100% happening. So we know it's coming. So there's that dilemma. Like, all right, we want to do things, but there's really not a whole use case for it. But there really is, and someone explained it to me, and it made perfect sense, especially in the title landscape. Is you have your underwriting side of the house from a title agency. That's your closings and your lenders and your mortgages and things of that nature. Not a lot going on there from a Ron standpoint.
Sure.
But then there's the operational side of the house, and that's where a lot of our title company partners are utilizing the platform. So what we're talking about is seller side deals, cash deals, investor deals, and then what we call like one-off documents. Dean, you have deeds, power of attorneys, affidavits, disclosures, lots of documents going back and forth that they're spending a lot of time, money, and energy chasing, and they could very easily and efficiently, safely and securely use a platform like ours to get those documents signed and notarized. So
yeah,
that's what we're hearing. And then the other piece, frustration, and it was kind of new to me coming into the industry, the Ron world, was a lot of title companies would share with me that during the pandemic, they jumped on a platform, they didn't use it much, or you hear the horror stories of we tried and it just didn't work. And yet they've had to shell out thousands of dollars just to have something. And I've yet to meet anyone that likes to pay for something they're not using.
Sure.
So I think people just abandon it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the couple of folks that I've talked to, they're in that bucket, right? They just said it's just not worth the frustration. Maybe when we have more time, but we're going to go back to doing it the way we've been doing it.
Totally.
So just was curious on your take. That's interesting. And I think certainly painting the picture correctly for expectations is important, when we talk about this. So cool. Any other tips that you would, share, maybe if someone is wanting to deploy this to help with expectations? It probably differs from technology to technology, I'd imagine, but.
It does. Yeah. And it's really about the adoption piece, like, and looking to leverage it for not just internal operations, but externally, offering an option to your signers, to your borrowers, to utilize something that is, again, safe, secure, convenient for them. One of the things I hear a lot about is like, yeah, we don't have signers, borrowers that are asking for it, and my argument is that because they are scared of it, or they don't know it's an option, and most of the time they don't know it's an option.
Do you have any examples of like any customers that absolutely crush it with with the technology, like they have seen like it 100% has impacted the business in a really positive way. If you could provide, maybe a couple of examples where you've seen that, like how they're doing it. It might be kind of
Yeah.
piggybacking what you're saying here, but how it really has helped with their efficiencies, their time, the overall experience. I think that might be helpful as well.
Sure. And again, with the lenders being where they are, and we get that, nothing we can do until they get their acts together, so to
Sure.
speak. But
Yeah.
we have a lot of partners that are using the platform for commercial transactions, a lot different. We have a lot of title companies that are doing heavy investor deals. Again, totally different. They're not worried about the Fannie and Freddie and the MERS and the vaults and all those, the eNotes, the smart docs, very different. So commercial, investor deals, seller side deals, a lot of more progressive companies are really, and we'll talk about marketing in a bit, I'm sure, but really leveraging this as a way to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. Like, here's what we're offering. We know you can't do this on every deal, but when we can, we want to offer it as an option. So it's offering services that that others are sort of saying, yeah, we're not going to even look at going that route.
Yeah, man, that's a great point. And, I can see just in those buckets, if like we just press pause, right? Commercial, investor, seller side deals. Again, it's one thing to sort of casually, have that as you get those types of deals as a means of options. It's another thing to actually put those capabilities on a pedestal, shout it from your rooftops and say, hey, if this is you, we have these kind of options, right? And so this is exactly
Right.
what I'd like to kind of dive into a little bit, because I think that segues right into the marketing piece, right? Where you have now these capabilities where, I mean, you're talking commercial investors. These are really, really busy people. And it's not that the casual, say casual, but the residential buyer or seller who may be doing this event, a few times in their lifetime, with these guys, it's multiple times, maybe in a given year.
That's right.
So they're, time is a huge deal for them, and convenience, right? So, I mean, building on kind of what you're talking about with these capabilities, they can hit that head on and maybe even put some measure. Like, do you have any kind of like average time frame when someone's doing this sort of, manual process versus what they save by doing it kind of, in a way that eNotaryLog can provide? Or there's like time savings, or is it more of a
Tremendous time savings?
Yeah.
Yeah, tremendous time savings. And the other element too, and you mentioned this with the investors, these people are never nailed down, right? They're always traveling.
They're always traveling.
And internationally.
Yeah,
that's the other
good
thing.
point.
We get calls all the time. Hey, I got a signer that's in insert any country in the world, and I need to get this power of attorney signed. Can you help us? Absolutely. That's what we do all day long. But these investors are out of state, out of country, traveling, and they need a convenient way to get these things signed and notarized. So, and the other thing too, we're really excited about is our new mobile app. And when I first was thinking about mobile, I'm like, how many people are going to actually want to sign these lengthy documents? And they're not that lengthy, by the way, but signing a document on their phone. And we're finding that the adoption with mobile is way high compared to what I thought it was going to be. Because I would have thought someone would want to be sitting in front of their laptop or computer, but that's the whole purpose. People are moving and they need to be able to do these things on the fly, and pick up your phone and get on with a notary and get something signed or notarized. It's incredible.
That's awesome. That's all. And it does, it speaks to the market. I mean, we've been big advocates of more and more mobile first type mentality, because that, more and more people are on the road. And if you really, are honest about your personal behavior too, I mean, we're always on it. I mean, if I can do something in a few seconds on a phone versus having to prop up a laptop and dial in somewhere, I mean, I'm going to go to my phone 9 out of 10 times, right? It's just a matter of habit. Correct. At this point. So
that's right.
That's awesome. So, I mean, again, to piggyback off of this, if I'm a title agent or attorney and I'm really, I'm trying to separate myself from the capabilities of, other competitors in the marketplace, I think what's important to take away here is dial in on the markets that are faster adopters to this technology, And, that sets the proper expectation that you're not going to run into, this being just shelfware and never touched, right? Because,
Right.
the other is, this is a compelling message to go outbound with and start attracting those influencers and folks that are, prospects for you with this capability. It's a reason to meet, it's a reason to connect, it's a reason to showcase the new convenience. Because now, if you've got a broker that's bringing deals, they can then tout that they work with a firm that has this capability. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, we can get your deal done, right? That's an extension. That
That's
value
right.
is an extension of that broker now, by aligning that with the title agency or the firm. So
Exactly.
love that, man. Anything I haven't asked or we talked about regarding eNotaryLog capabilities or what you've kind of seen work really well?
Yeah, I mean, the other piece that was a source of frustration, like I mentioned, the fee structure, having monthly fees, monthly minimums, annual fees. I mean, I just saw that as huge barriers to entry for
Mm,
a title agent. Like, why would I pay for something I'm just not going to be using that much yet? And what we really are saying is, hey, get on a platform, because here's the deal. Most title agents know, again, it's coming, right? And the last thing they want to be is scrambling last minute, getting on a platform, getting up and running, getting used to it, making sure everything's connected and working. Do it now while you have the time. Leverage what you can with on the operational side, like I talked about earlier, and be in a position when things do change that you're literally hitting the ground running versus crawling.
yeah.
So that's and so we removed a lot of those barriers just to make it, get people on the platform, get them comfortable, get them up and running, use it for low risk situations. Those one-off documents. I mean, I was working with the title agent recently, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not interested. It's just not that big of a deal." When we dug in, we found out that they had about 20 to 30 situations a month where they had to send out a mobile notary to get a real simple document signed. I said,
Mm,
what's that cost you? Well, $150 every time. Okay, well, what's that? Several $1,000s. Well,
yeah.
what if I told you that it would be like a fraction of that using our platform? And by the way, time savings, resource savings, and cost savings. And it turned into, wow, this is really going to help us operationally and save us a lot of money.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is there a particular like uh what's the perfect customer for for eNotaryLog? Like it's is it size driven? Is it just business model, or kind of paint that picture for us?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just we want to partner with companies that see the future, that are tech forward, if you will, that are looking for ways to better operate. Right now with rates up, volume down, everyone's
Hmm.
starting to go, okay, now how do we make more money with the deals that we do have? Now's the time to start looking at not just RON and e-sign technology, but other technologies as well. Now's the time to really buckle down and say, okay, we were crazy busy for the last 2 years, didn't have time to do anything. Now's the
Correct.
time to
Yeah.
really buckle down and
Yeah.
say, okay, we got to put systems and processes and technology in places that are going to help us better operate and reduce costs.
Yeah, we really like to push, optionality, right? You want to give your customer base options, and I think
That's right.
with the markets, over the past couple of years, what we've learned is, predictability has become hard, and you have to, at a moment's notice, be able to pivot. So, having options and technology is such a wonderful, channel to help you with that, because it does give you. It does give you more options. It does give you more capabilities. I mean, and part of this is time to learn what those are. So I think that's great advice. Now we're definitely having more conversations with customers about different types of marketing, how to stand out. And with the market shifts, I think it's kind of neat because a lot of folks have adopted some pretty cool technology along the way. Albeit maybe it was because they didn't have the ability to hire fast enough, or they needed ways to be more efficient. So it was for different reasons, but the tech under the hood can still be repurposed and extended in terms of its value through some marketing capability and showing that off. So this is a great example of that. Just with a few minutes that we have left, I mean, any kind of just thoughts about our future state, man? Any kind of thought leadership you want to share, where you think, the markets are headed here in the next few years, and how digital and kind of what you guys do will play a role in it? I mean, anything you can share kind of as a heads up insight for folks?
Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate that, it is coming. All the large top lenders are getting their ducks in a row. You hear about it every day. So it is definitely coming, and it's going to impact the market in general. So again, just get ready, be prepared, and do whatever you can do today for the future, knowing that is coming. So there's, look, you said it earlier, no one has the crystal ball, the unknown. Predicting the future, it's impossible, right? So right now rates are up. What's going to happen next? Inflation, and are things slowing down? Inventory slowing down? I mean, there's a lot of factors that are going in. Is default next? Is foreclosure next? Like all these different variables. But again, having the options, diversification, and putting in pieces that'll help you as you move into the future is I think the best companies are doing that.
Yeah, and we're seeing that too. It's interesting. This is a great efficiency tool for folks, to not dilute their brand experience, the human side of experience. What we're talking about is the stuff that people hate, right? About a transaction, having to take time off, having to disrupt my flow of the day, and having the capability that something like eNotaryLog can provide. You're at least lowering the impact of that, and making it to where it's an experience that once they've had it one time and it was a great experience, and it didn't disrupt that family trip or didn't disrupt that business trip as much as they thought it was going to be disrupted, that is insanely memorable, right? Because if I'm going to do this again, I don't want to have to be shuffling 100 pieces of paper, or finding an embassy to find a notary, or whatever. We've heard all the stories, and then it's delay after delay after delay. Packages have to be reordered. It's a domino effect, when that doesn't go 100%. Off like a hitch. So I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying here, and that now is a great time to practice on those, those transactions that are less, intense in terms of it not involving the lender just yet. Like that's a good training exercise for, and I think you mentioned this, when we were talking earlier, not only in how you would position it for your marketing, but also internally, getting that internal staff bought in to the process, and figuring out kind of where in those gaps they can use this as the fill in. So
totally.
Sweet,
I got
man.
a quick story. I got one quick story for you on that note.
Yeah.
Because it actually happened to me personally. So I don't think I've ever had to get anything signed and notarized outside of a real estate closing ever. So ironically, it was all to one. I'm in New Orleans. I had sold a rental property that I had for years with a partner. And I told the title company, I'm going to be gone this week, because they were trying to schedule closing. I said, I'm gone that week at a conference. They said, no worries, we'll figure it out. Okay, perfect. Well, they didn't. Nothing against the title company. That's what happens, right? Everything's last second.
Yeah.
So I'm at the hotel in New Orleans, and I get an email saying, here's the deed and the power of attorney and a couple other documents. Print them out. Go find a notary. Go to a FedEx. Here's the label. Stick it in an overnight, and all will be good. I said, we're not doing any of that. I said, my company does that. And they said, and it was interesting. And this is the educational piece. Yeah. She said, and this is a Maryland-based title company. She said, no, you can't sign electronically. You can't electronically sign and notarize a deed. I said, yes, you can. And wow. I went on to our platform, uploaded the documents. 8 minutes later, I had them signed, sealed, delivered, and I sent them to the title company, and the next day it closed. So I just was imagining what that process would be without it. Like literally, can you see me like printing something out at a hotel? Where's that? Going out, trying to find a notary. I mean, it was just like terrible.
And having that firsthand experience, can you imagine doing it any other way?
No.
You
Yeah, I
can't,
was just
right?
like unbelievable. In my room, in 8 minutes, I had it done.
Yeah, I mean, hands down, it's night and day. I mean, it's almost like not quite the same, but if you ever had anything delivered, groceries, whatever, like to your doorstep, it's like, why would I battle traffic, waste gas? Like, why am I going to do that?
That's right.
Within 2 clicks of a button, it's here, right? So you only have to experience that 1 or 2 times, and it's like, okay, this is the new way of doing this, right?
That's
Um,
right.
so awesome. Well, man, a couple things, right? So happy to have you guys on also as a new hub partner, TitleTap hub partner. So for our audience, so eNotaryLog just recently joined the ecosystem here with the TitleTap hub. So it's going to give everyone a chance to explore more about what they offer, and then how we integrate with them on your website to do a lot of the things we're talking about in terms of helping you articulate in your marketing some of these benefits for your audience, and just make that as a one-click easy button. So super pumped about that. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
this is fun, dude. I would love to do a pickup on this and have kind of a part 2 if you're up for it at some point in the near future.
Would love to. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. We're excited about the partnership, and the future is very bright between us.
It is, man. And how can the audience get a hold of you or learn more about eNotaryLog? I'm going to send out some information, but do you want to share anything with them?
Yeah. Our website, www.enotarylog.com, sales at enotarylog.com for information. We're always, basically we have one call to really understand goals, needs, wants, desires, and see if we fit. If we fit,
Yeah.
we'll show a demo and go
Love it.
from there. So we
Yeah.
just want to have conversations and help title agents, law firms understand what they can and can't do, where they can and can't do it, and if we can help them in any way.
That's
Pretty
awesome, man.
simple.
That's awesome. You got some conferences you're coming to the later this year?
Yeah, we just came back from NS3. We have the fund coming up. We're in other industries as well, but really excited about the Florida Bar. We have Alta One coming up in the fall. So lots of, and some state and land title associations. So we're getting out there, getting more and more in front of opportunities to work with really good partners.
Love it, man. Well, flag Andrew down if you see him or his team out there, if you guys are circulating in some of the conferences that he shared here. But
Yep.
dude, always a pleasure, man.
Same. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it.
All right. See you, bud.
Take care.